Good evening, campers. Three people, count them, uno, dos, tres, indai, tri, have told me that apparently reading this is illegal. So when the cops come, um, you know, basically, I am the bad boy of booktube. They'll be like, oh, what are you in for? So I'll be like, oh, I stabbed a man. What about you? And I'll be like, read Twilight. Suckers. Yeah, so this is an illegal activity. You are engaging in thralling and, really pushing for illegal activity. And that's the type of content that we want here. So yeah, I am officially the bad boy of booktube. You're welcome. If I set up a GoFundMe page, will you all donate a fiver? Because I can't go to jail. I wouldn't last long. I'd last okay. I think I'd be a-okay. I think yeah. I'd work on I'd be in the cafeteria. I'd be like, who wants a peas? And everyone would be like, oh, it's the guy who does the peas. And I'm like, oh, I'll have some peas. And then Dave the Rave. They call him that because he's a raving natter and he makes his own nanks. I'll give him extra peas. I'll be like, Dave, stop looking at me. Chapter 4, Invitations. This is an Audible production. In my dream, it was very dark, and what dim light there was seemed to be radiating from Edward's skin. Oh yeah, this is the dream. This is the dream sequence element. I couldn't see his face, just his back as he walked away from me, leaving me in the blackness. No matter how fast I ran, I couldn't catch up to him. No matter how loud I called, he never turned. Troubled, I woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't sleep again for what seemed like a very long time. What's interesting here is that if he had just turned around and stared her out like he always has done, I think she would have gone to sleep a-okay. Snoozeville. Um, After that, he was in my dreams nearly every night, but always on the periphery, never within reach. The month that followed the accident was uneasy, tense, and at first, embarrassing. To my dismay, I found myself the center of attention for the rest of the week. Tyler Crowley was impossible. Following me round, obsessing with making amends to me somehow. I tried to convince him what I wanted more than anything else was for him to forget all about it, especially since nothing had actually happened to me. But he remained insistent. I feel Tyler, this is the person who was cut up in the car accident. I mean that's fair. He feels bad for it. I like how Bella's like, I'm fine, so could we just ignore it? I mean, there's a little bit of heart you could give to Tyler and understand, empathize with him. We could do that, but no, she's like, we've been there, we've done that. He followed me between classes and sat at our now crowded lunch table. Mike and Eric were even less friendly towards him than they were to each other, which made me worried that I'd gain another unwelcomed fan. Does she have a fan? Does she have fans? Doubt. No one seemed concerned about Edward, though I explained over and over that he was the hero, how he had pulled me out of the way and had nearly been crushed too. I tried to be convincing, just like the pros. Jessica, Mike, Eric, and everyone else always commented that they hadn't seen him there till the van pulled away. I wondered to myself why no one else had seen him standing so far away before he was suddenly impossibly saving my life. With chagrin, what a wonderful word, I realised the probable cause. No one else was aware of Edward as I was. No one else was watching him the way I did. How pitiful. Darling, you're dreaming about the boy. Let's not put as the bad boy of booktube, you need to really put down your expectations of what people will do to a very sexy, attractive boy. Stop it. Edward was never surrounded by crowds of curious bystanders, eager for his first-hand account, because Edward doesn't do anything. He's good at biology. That's it, and he's pale. That's all we've got so far. People avoided Team Wolf. People avoided him as usual. Yeah, do you know when I go to jail for illegally reading Twilight, Team Wolf. I'm gonna get a tattoo there. Team Wolf. That's why I'm on. Team Cullen, Team Wolf. That's why. Bad boys are Team Wolf. Soy boys are Team Cullen. We're just going down a real weird route here, and I love it. People usually avoided him. The Cullen and the Hales sat at the same table as always, not eating, talking only amongst themselves, because that's what people do when you're set. Normally, when you're set having lunch, you speak to the people in the table. Why does she expect him to be speaking to the next table over? She's not even doing that. Bella needs a moment of self-reflection. I feel as though the trauma of the car accident is starting to come through in the prose now. She's getting a bit erratic. Like, why isn't Edward speaking to multiple people who aren't even in his close vicinity? You need to sit. They should have kept her in hospital. Shame that sexy Dr. Cullen. I told Alex about the sexy doctor, and she was like, "That's in the book." I was like, "That's in the book," and I know that because I'm the bad boy. I'm the bad boy. Duh, Team Wolf. We went off on a tangent there. He was sat next to me in class. When he sat next to me in class, as far from me as the table would allow. Stephanie Meyer loves that phrase. Everyone is sat as far away as the table would allow. It like she has consistently used that. She has used that more than she has used the affirmation of snow. She has refused snow, but she allows that there is a faraway place that the table would allow. She is gung-hoing on it. Only now and then, when his fists would suddenly ball up like the Arthur meme, skin stretched even whiter over the bones, did I wonder if he was as quite oblivious as he appeared. He's just trying to get through his lab. That's it. That's all. Edward Cullen has come to school to learn, Bella, okay? He hasn't come here to swan about with Bella Swan. To swan about? Oh, yeah. Mic drop. Boom. We'll cut that in the edit. That sounds way better. He hasn't come to Bella Swan about. Bah, you're welcome. This is a legal activity. And that bar was a crime. I'm not sure what. That's Team Wolf. That's how Team Wolf murks books on the streets. Bah. It's like, Team Cullen, bah. The bibliography of Ali Smith, bah. Get out of here, Team Wolf. I wish he hadn't pulled me from the path of Tyler's van. There was no other conclusion I could come to. Sorry, Bella. Do you know what? Somehow, the prospect of this being a short story, which ends in your absolute mutilation, seems like a good prospect. But isn't it a shame that people look out for each other and save others from immediate death? But no, not good enough for Bella Swan. She was like, now I have to sit next to a sexy hot boy as far as the table would allow. I wanted to talk to him very much. Then he's there. It's a free country. You're in America. Just say, hi, Edward. Can we talk? He didn't even leave on a bad note. He was just like, no, we're not talking about what happened yesterday. And she's like, well, that's not good enough. I'll just dream about you instead. And then he dream ignored her. And now she's like, I'm going to take that into the real world. Stop it. I wanted very much to talk to him the day after the accident. I tried. The last time I'd see him outside the ER. Okay, so we are accepting the dream sexy Cullen is dream sexy Cullen. We'd been so furious. I was still angry that he wouldn't trust me with the truth. like Law and Order Forks, are we right, peeps? Even though I was keeping my part of the bargain flawlessly, but he had in fact saved my life, no matter how he'd done it. And overnight, the heat of my anger faded into awed gratitude. Thank you. That's the bad boy way of dealing with trauma. Acceptance. I was already seated when I got to biology, looking straight ahead. I sat down, expecting him to turn to me. He showed no sign that he realized I was there. "Hello, Edward," I said pleasantly, to show him I was going to behave myself. He turned his head a fraction towards me without meeting my gaze, nodded once, then looked the other way. "Who's Steve Holt? I need to know who Steve Holt is." "Hi, Sarah." Team Wolf. Team Wolf. He turned his head, blah, blah, blah. And that was the last contact I'd had with him. Though he was there a foot away from me, every day I watched him sometimes, unable to stop myself. Again, true, all we have done is stared at Edward Cullen for, I'm on page 60. That's all we have done is just stare at the man. Though in the cafeteria or in the parking lot. I watched as his golden eyes drew perceptibly darker day by day, but in class I gave no more notice than he showed towards me. I was miserable, and the dreams continued. Sadness. Despite my outright lies, the tenor of my emails alerted Renee to my depression. Oh, I like how we've turned into Marcel Proust in a sentence. Despite my outright, she's got like a Madeline. It's soggy because of the mush ball, the mush ball Armageddon that occurred outside. She called a few times, worried. I tried to convince her it was just the weather that had let me down. Mike, at least, I don't know why Marcel Proust has this accent, but he does. Mike, at least, was pleased by the obvious coolness between me and my lab partner. I could see he'd been worried that Edward's daring rescue might have impressed me, and he was relieved that it seemed to have the opposite effect. He grew more confident, sitting on the edge of my table to talk before biology class had even started, ignoring Edward as completely as he had ignored us. Ooh, fight fire with fire. The snow washed away for good after one dangerously icy day. Mike was disappointed he'd never got to stage his snowball fight, but pleased that the beach trip would soon be possible. The rain continued heavily, though, as the weeks passed. Jessica made me aware of another event looming on the horizon. He called the first Tuesday of March to ask my permission to invite Mike to the Girls' Choice Spring Dance in 2 weeks. "Are you sure you don't mind? You weren't planning to ask him," she persisted when I told her I didn't mind in the least. "No, Jess, I'm not going," I reassured her. Dancing was glaringly outside my range of abilities. I mean, you've been dancing around the obvious, Stephanie Meyer, so it will be really fun. Good attempt. I suspected that Jess, like, oh, yeah, you know what? Shoot your shot. The next day, I was surprised that Jessica wasn't her usual self in trig and Spanish. She was silent as she walked by my side between classes. I was afraid to ask her why. If Mike had turned her down, I was the last person she would want to tell. My fears were strengthened during lunch when Jessica sat as far away from Mike as the table would allow. Would you believe it? Mike was still quiet as he walked to me in class. The uncomfortable look on his face was a bad sign. But he didn't broach the subject until I was at my seat and was perched on my desk. As always, I was electrically aware of Edward sitting close enough to touch. How often are they in biology in this class? Is this all like Americans do? She has trigonometry, Spanish, biology. Like, that's it. She doesn't need any other subjects. They were like, double down on what you know. She's like that's all you can do. You could do triangles, me gusta triangles, biology, done. Isn't trigonometry the biology of shapes? Me gusta. As the table would allow it. The table would. I'm waiting for the table to not allow it. The amount of talk about the weather in this book is insane. If this was a British book, we'd still be on day one. So it's fine. So Mike said, look at the floor. Jessica asked me to the spring dance. He's like, he doesn't care. He's a bad boy. That's great. I made my voice bright and enthusiastic. Oh, you'll have a lot of fun with Jessica. Well, he floundered as he examined my... He floundered. How can you examine anyone's smile like that? Clearly not happy with my response. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. So what... This is how Mike wants the conversation to go. So, said Mike, looking at the floor, Jessica asked me to the spring dance. And what Bella should have gone was gone, well, that's shit. I made my voice melancholy. You hate Jessica. She's a bit of a bawper. If you don't know what a bawper is, we covered that over in Welsh lexicon. A bit of a loner. A bawper. B-O-P-A. Bawper. And Mike would be like, yes. Let's see what happened. Let's see the sliding mirrors of this incident. I told her I had to think about it. Why would you do that? I let disapproval color my tone. Why would you do that? Though I was relieved he hadn't given her an absolute no. Oh, interesting. Almost as if she's out for herself. His face was bright red as he looked down again. Oh, his head's... It's like the lateral version of Wimbledon. Pity shook my resolve. What a sentence! I was wondering if you might be planning to ask me. Shoot your shot, Mike. You'd go for it, boy. I paused for a moment, hating the wave of guilt that swept through me. But I saw from the corner of my eye Edward's head tilt reflexively in my direction. He's like, "Oh, do tell, Mike. I think you should tell her yes," I said. Did someone ask you? Sorry, did you already ask someone? Did Edward notice how Mike's eye flickered in his direction? Mike's doing like a lot of moving. Like he's standing still, but he's allowing his head to do all the talking here. No, I assured him. I'm not going to the dance at all. Why not? Mike demanded. Mike needs to take a no. Mike needs to just walk off and be like, I'm with Jess. That's what he needs to do right now. I didn't want to get into the safety hazards that dancing present. Well, people, hold up. Bella Swan might be concerned with dancing, but if you remember the safety dance, which is the safest of all dances, you can dance if you want to, and you can leave your friends behind. But if they don't dance, and if they will not dance, then they ain't no friends of mine. That's the safety dance, people. Just do it safely and refuse anyone who won't dance. Done. Oh no, I've lost my page. Blah, 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 blah. Didn't want to safety hazards. You could dance if you want to. Just remember that, people. Can't you go? I'm going to Seattle that Saturday, I explained. I needed to get out of town anyway. It was suddenly the perfect time to go. Can't you go some other weekend, Mike? Calm it, pal. She said she ain't interested. She won't dance. She ain't dance, so she ain't no friends of yours. Okay? Take the hint. This is going to go on for like 4 pages. I can already foresee this. Can't you go some other weekend? Sorry, no, I said. So you shouldn't make Jess wait any longer. It is rude. Oh, Bella is the aficionado of being a Rudy McTrudy, isn't she? So when Bella Swan tells you you're being rude, you know you done messed up. Thank you. What if a vampire was I a book where he was a vampire, a book about a vampire, and What if a vampire? What? I've read too much Twilight. Yeah, you're right. He mumbled. He turned away, dejected, and walked back to his seat. Yeah, rejected, rejected. Yeah, you just got rejected. REJECTEG, rejected. Yes, I watched Zoe 101 back in the day because I'm a bad boy. And Edward was staring at me curiously. At the same time, I remember my friend got rejected, and I remember singing that at him and then having to explain, oh no, it's Zoe 101. He was like, nah, it's like, it still hurts. I was like, still true. Because he was a loner, a bawper. I stayed back, surprising, expected him to look to look quickly away, but instead he continued to gaze with probing intensity into my eyes. There was no question of me looking away. My hands started to shake. Mr. Cullen, the teacher called. Sorry, the teacher's not doing that. Seeking answer to the question that I hadn't heard. The Krebs cycle, Edward answered, seeming reluctant as he turned to look at Mr. Banner. I looked down at my book as soon as his eyes released me, trying to find my place, cowardly as ever. I shifted my hair over my right shoulder to hide my face. I couldn't believe the rush of emotion pulsing through me just because he'd happened to look at me for the first time in half a dozen weeks. I wouldn't allow him to have this level of influence over me. It was pathetic, more than pathetic. It was unhealthy. She notices. There's you know what, there's bunting of red flags over this relationship. She's like, I know it's unhealthy, and he doesn't even care. Put the bunting up, the platitubes of panic. Do you win a GED by recognize? Yes. I don't know what a GED means, but that means a good education diploma, and I am a good education diplomee. You're welcome. Bella, his voice shouldn't have been so familiar to me, as if I'd known the sound of it all my life rather than just a few short weeks. It's been half a dozen weeks and a few short weeks. I wouldn't say 6 months is short. 6 weeks. That's a long time. That's good. I turned slowly, unwilling. I didn't want to feel that I knew I would feel when I looked at his too perfect face. My expression was wary when I finally turned to him. How slow is she moving? His expression was unreadable. He didn't say anything. It's like a Robert Wilson piece. If you check out Robert Wilson, trust me, they're pale. Robert Wilson. See, drama degree, people. It does come in handy in life. What, are you speaking to me again? I finally asked, an unintended note of petulance in my voice. What does she want? Does she want his attention or not? Because she's like, I'd be like, oh, Bella, you know what, mate? Like, just suck it up, deal with it. You're walking amongst the living. Like, just go to Seattle. Go to Seattle, see Tom Hanks. What else is Tom Hanks doing? That Seattle movie. I don't know. Turn into Woody and from Toy Story and go wild. Something like that. I closed my eyes and inhaled slowly through my nose, aware that I was gritting my teeth. She just made her, honestly, her dentist. He's going to have a field day. That's all she does. Then what do you want, Edward? I asked, keeping my eyes closed. It was easier to talk to him coherently that way. She might as well just do this. What do you want, Ed? She's turned slowly. She's turned away, and then she's gone. What? Perfect. That's how all teenagers talk. I remember doing that. In my Welsh oral exam, in front of the adjudicator, she was like, "And your name is?" And I went, "For anyone, Kieran." Then what do you want? It was way slower. What do you want, Edward? I'm sorry, he sounded insincere. I was being very rude, I know, but it's better this way, really. I opened my eyes. His face was very serious. I don't know what you mean, I said, my voice guarded. It's better if we're not friends, he explained. Trust me. My eyes narrowed. I'd heard that before. It's too bad you didn't. I think they weren't friends. They weren't. They sat next to each other. They weren't friends. You know what I mean? Like when I sat next to Alicia in history, we were not friends. We sat next to each other because we were told to by Mrs. Davis. Mrs. Davis was like, "This is how you have to sit because your last names are very closely together." And me and Alicia, we just answered the questions, you know, and then I went tip of. Well, I was a bad boy, so I went like sup, and she went off and did it. I don't know what she's doing. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what. Hi Alicia, if you ever come across this, remember that question we did on Morts? It was really good. Bit of a tangent about the history of my life. Regret, the word in my tone obviously caught him off guard. Regret for what? For not letting that stupid van squish me. He was astonished. Yeah, I wish I died. Like at what point, do you carry on the conversation? And you're like, oh, like I don't really want to talk to you. I wish you had killed me then. Be like, okay. But Alicia with a Y, she was grand. I mean, like we weren't. We weren't we weren't texting each other like, "Hee, I wonder what we're gonna do for history tomorrow." Like, what the two does lol. Like that never happened. I need to find out what Alicia's doing. I don't know. I found out one of my. No, we're not talking. We're not talking about the school days. This is serious literary fiction. This is serious fiction. This is a serious fiction channel. And I will be serious. The angst is real. I wish I died. That's so rough. Like 6 weeks. Imagine meeting someone and being like, I wish I was dead. Like, whoa. Like, God, imagine doing my microscopy with them the next day. Like, are you okay? You think I regret saving your life? I know you do. Ooh. You don't know anything, Jon Snow. He was definitely mad. I turned my head sharply away from him, clenched my jaw against all the wild accusations I wanted to hurl at him. What accusations? What accusation? He did save your life, and you're the one going, oh, if only I had shifted off this mortal coil, then I would show Edward Cullen, show you, pal. But now you're dreaming about the man. Pick a lane, stay in it. I caught the toe of my boot on the door jamb and dropped my book. Serves you right, you dafty. Then Borper. That's Borper attitude there. Then I sighed and bent to pick them up, and he was there. He had already stacked them up into a pile, and he handed them to me, his face hard. That's not a euphemism. I don't know what that means. Thank you, I said icily. His eyes narrowed. You're welcome, he retorted. I straightened up swiftly, turned away from him again, and walked off to Jim without looking back. Jim was brutal. Let's figure out how brutal he is. We moved on to basketball. My team never did pass me the ball, so that was good, but I fell down a lot. Brutality. Sometimes I took people with me. Brutal. Today I was worse than usual because my head was so filled with Edward. This is a PG-13. This is family friendly. Stop, get your head out to the gutter. I tried to this is a romance. This isn't smut. I tried to concentrate on my feet, but he kept creeping back into my thought just when I really needed balance. That whole sentence is great. Imagine trying, like, oh, I wish I could focus on my feet. Oh no, it's it's Edward Cullen, and then like the balance that goes on, in your ears are just like, whoa, what's going on here? Like that, I wouldn't say that was brutal. I would say a dafty. She's a dafty. No, can make them. I'm Team Wolf. Team Wolf and the Bad Boys of BookTube. We don't mind. I'm the same as you. I don't know what that is. That like, use your books. That's what I'm imagining. It was a relief, as always, to leave. I almost ran to my truck. There were just so many people I wanted to avoid. The truck had only suffered minor damage in the accident, but I wish that my life had ended. This is a serious literary channel. I let people read The Count of Monte Cristo. They don't know what real literature is. I will gatekeep. I will. Do you know what? I'll happily build the gate my gosh darn self. I'll be like, oh, to enter, Mia Warrior, ye must read your Twilight. Team Wolf. That's all I'm having. I almost had a stroke when I rounded the corner and saw a tall, dark figure leaning against the side of my truck. Then I realized it was Eric, and I started walking again. Two extremes there. Hi, Eric, I called. Hi, Bella. What's up? This is how teenagers speak. I can confirm this. I said as I was unlocking the door. Don't know how I can confirm that. We'll just go with it. I wasn't paying attention to the uncomfortable edge in his voice. Oh, everyone's uncomfortable. So his next words took me by surprise. I was wondering if you want to go to the spring dance with me. His voice broke on the last word. Oh, I'm really good at reenacting when puberty hit me. I was wondering if you'd like to go to the spring dance with me. Because sometimes puberty still hits me, like in my reviews. I'll start in and bring it back down. So that's great. I thought it was a girl's choice, I said, too startled to be diplomatic. Yeah, shut up, Eric. Well, yeah, he admitted, shamefaced. One word, love that. I recovered my composure and tried to make my smile warm. Thank you for asking me, but I'm going to be in Seattle that day. What would have been a bigger burn if she had gone, let me ask you, and she went, can you move away from the car? And you'd be like, ooh, chess club. He wouldn't be playing chess. That would Queen's Gambit move that. Oh, well, maybe next time. Sure, I agreed, and then bit my lip. Sure. Really hurt. I wouldn't want him to take that too literally. Don't say sure then. Wait, what? I wouldn't want him to take that too literally. Okay. He slouched off back towards the school. He's walking like that. I heard a low chuckle. So, Edward was walking past the front of my truck, looking straight forward, his lips pressed together. I yanked the door open and jumped inside, slamming it loudly behind me. I revved the engine deafeningly and reversed out of the aisle. Edward was in his car already, 2 spaces down, sliding smoothly in front of me. He cut me off. He stopped there to wait for his family. Oh. I could see the 4 of them walking this way, still by the cafeteria. I considered taking out the rear of his shiny Volvo, but there were too many witnesses. You literally just wanted to die 3, like, just go for it. Just like, you know what? If you got a death wish, like, go for it. That is not advice that we should be taking. This is not advice that we should be. This is a Bella Swan only advice. Fictional characters. But if she's like, oh, I should have just died, just trounce it. Just trounce it and be like, suck it, Cullen, in your last dying like breath, like blood all over your t-shirt, and being like, shut up, you beautiful faced boy. Anyway, while I was sitting there, looking everywhere but the car in front of me, I heard a knock on the passenger side window. I looked over. It was Tyler. I glanced back at my rear view mirror, confused. His car was still running, the doors left open. I leaned across the cab to crank the window down. It was stiff. head out the gutter. I got halfway down and then gave up. Stop it. I I'm sorry, Tyler. I'm stuck behind Cullen. I was annoyed. Obviously, the holdup was not my fault. No, I know. I just wanted to ask you something while we're trapped. Oh, this could not be happening. Will you ask me to the spring dance? Oh my god, why is everyone obsessed with Bella? My gosh. I'm not going to be in town, Tyler. My voice sounded a bit sharp. I had to remember it wasn't his fault that Mike and Eric had already used my quota of patience for the day. Yeah, Mike said that, he admitted. Tyler don't care. He's like, oh, she said no to you. Like, time to shine, boys. I killed you yesterday, but word on the street that you actually wanted to die. So, like, 1 + 1 is me and you. Mike said that. Then why? I was hoping you would just letting him down easy. Okay, it wasn't completely his fault. Sorry, Tyler. I really am going up to town. That's cool. We still have prom. Tyler, you absolute yeah. I'm on Tyler. Team Wolf. This is Tyler. Tyler's Team Wolf. I don't know. Team Wolf. Team Wolf. Before I could respond, he was walking back to his car. I could. Oh, is that just Tyler Lautner? Is that his name? Tyler Lautner. Tyler Lautner. Team Wolf. I don't care. Tyler's going to be Team Wolf for me. Before I could respond, he was walking back to his car, and I could feel a shock on my face. I looked forward to see Alice, Rosalie, Emmett, and Jasper all sliding into the Volvo. It was his rear view mirror. Edward's eyes were on me. He was unquestionably shaken with laughter. Interesting. As if he had heard every word that Tyler had said. My foot itched towards the gas pedal. Taylor Lautner. Not Tyler Lautner. Close enough. Team Wolf. One little bump wouldn't hurt any of them. Just that glossy silver paint job. I revved my engine. Yeah, you show him where to shove it. But they were all in, and Edward was speeding away. I drove home slowly, carefully, muttering to myself the whole way. When I got home, I decided to make chicken enchiladas for dinner. It was a long process, and it would keep me busy. While I was simmering the onions and chilies, the phone rang. I was most afraid to answer it, but it might be Charlie or my mum. I love the flick into like kitchen sink drama from the 50s. Like, hey, darling, I'm gonna make my chicken enchiladas. Lovely. It was Jessica, and she was jubilant. Mike had called her at school to accept her invitation, and I accepted her, and I celebrated her briefly while I stirred. She had to go. She wanted to call Angela and Lauren to tell them. I suggested with casual innocence that maybe Angela, the shy girl who had biology with me, could ask Eric. This is proper Regency stuff here. There's a big draw, a big influence here from Austin. I can sense this. And Lauren, the standoffish girl who had always ignored me at the lunch table, could just ask Tyler. I heard that he was still available, and Jess thought that was a great idea. Now that she was sure, of Mike, she actually sounded sincere when she had wished that I would go to the dance, and I gave her my Seattle excuse. After I hung up, I tried to concentrate on dinner, dicing the chicken especially. I didn't want to take another trip to the emergency room, but my head was spinning trying to analyze every word Edward had spoken today. What did he mean? It was better if you were not friends. Oh, my stomach twisted and realized that he must have... I realized what he must have meant. He must have seen how absorbed I was in him. He must not want to lead me on, so we could not be friends because he was not interested in me at all. You need to just calm down. You just need to calm down. He's not interested. There's 3 books after this, so I assume he is. Of course he wasn't interested in me, I thought angrily. My eyes stinging, a delayed reaction to the onions. Oh, okay. It wasn't. That's not because she was angry. I wasn't interesting. Ooh, in italics, so it hurts. And he was interesting. That's not in italics. Sans italics. And brilliant. And I'm going to turn the page. Good looking. Mysterious and perfect and beautiful. And possibly able to lift fully sized vans with one hand. Ooh, that's what I want in my... If you go on my Tinder bio, I go tall, pale, can lift vans with like swipe left. Like if you can't lift a van with one hand and you're not pale and you're not good looking, don't want to tatty buys. Like bye, shoo. Don't want to hear from you. Well, that was fine. I could leave him alone, and I would leave him alone. There's a lot of like there's a lot of self-confirmation when it comes to Bella. She's like, well, I will do this. I'm going to just repeat it 3 times so you know, reader, that I'm serious about what I'm going to do. I would get through my self-imposed sentence here in purgatory, and then hopefully some school in the Southwest or possibly Hawaii would offer me a scholarship. I focused on my thoughts of sunny beaches and palm trees as I finished my enchiladas and put them in the oven. Charlie seemed suspicious when he came home and smelt green peppers. Are green peppers like a pungent smell? I don't think I've ever walked in and gone, a green pepper. I must be concerned. I don't think I've ever... Maybe American green peppers. These have to be bell peppers. That's what we call... That's what Americans call peppers. A bell pepper does not smell. The bell ye not smell, as the old saying goes. If it smell, it be not a bell. A bell, and a bella swan. A bell. It's a metaphor. Very clever. Very clever. It was fun to watch as he slowly began trusting me in the kitchen. Dad? I asked when he was almost done. Yeah? I just want to let you know I'm going to Seattle for a day, for the day a week from Saturday, if that's okay. Didn't want to ask permission. It set a bad precedent, and I felt rude, so I tacked it on at the end. Why? He sounded surprised, as if he was unable to imagine something the forks could not offer. Spoons. Well, I wanted to get a few books. The library here is pretty limited, and maybe look at some clothes. I had more money than I was used to having, since, thanks to Charlie, I hadn't had to pay for the car. Not that the truck didn't cost me quite as bit in the gas department. She said she had no money I thought she said she had insufficient funds for a car. That truck probably doesn't get very good gas mileage, he said, echoing my thoughts. I know, I'll stop in Montesano and Olympia and Tacoma if I have to. I clearly know where those places are. Are you going all by yourself? He asked. I could tell if and I couldn't tell if he was suspicious if I had a secret boyfriend. Ooh, always worrying about car trouble. Yes. Seattle is a big city. You could get lost, he fretted. Dad, Phoenix is 5 times the size of Seattle, and I could read a map. Don't worry about it. Do you want me to come with you? I tried to be as crafty as I hid my horror. That's all right, Dad. I'll probably just be in dressing rooms all day. Very boring. Oh, okay. The thought of sitting in women's clothing stores for any period of time immediately put him off. Thanks. Will you be back in time for the dance? Grrr! That's actually... Stephanie Meyer was like, what's going to... Grrr! Grrr. Only in a town this small would a father know when the high school dances were. No, I don't dance, Dad. He of all people should understand that. Suck it, Charlie, if that even is your real name, Papa. The next morning, when I pulled into the parking lot, I deliberately parked as far as possible from the silver Volvo. I didn't want to put myself in the path of too much temptation and end up owing him a new car. Getting out of the cab, I fumbled with my key and let it fall into a puddle at my feet. Okay. As I bet, weird. As I bent to get it, a white hand flashed out and grabbed it before I could. Jerked upright. Edward Cullen was right there next to me, leaning casually against my truck. How do you do that? I asked in amazed irritation. Do what? He held out my key as I spoke, and he reached for it. He dropped it into my palm, appear out of thin air. Bella, it's not my fault if you're unobservant. His voice was quiet as usual. Sorry. How do you do that? Oh, sorry. What was that, Edward? What was that, Edward? I couldn't hear you, pal. I scowled at his perfect face. His eyes were light again today, a deep golden honey colour. Every time, the face and the eyes. He hasn't done as much staring. He's letting his guard down. Why the traffic jam last night? I demanded, still looking away. I thought you were supposed to be pretending that I do not exist and not irritated me to death. Well, that's for Tyler's sake, not mine. I had to give him his chance, he snickered. Snickered. I really snickered. I don't think I've ever read that word. Snickered. What a lovely word. You, I gasped. Sorry. You, I gasped. I couldn't think of a bad enough word. I could think of some. It felt like, because I'm a bad boy. Just remember that. I am the bad boy. It felt like the heat of my anger would physically burn him, but he only seemed more amused. And I'm not pretending you don't exist, he continued. Ooh, take that, Bella. That even is your name. Are you trying to irritate me to death since Silas Band didn't do the job? You wanted to die. Why you can't use that as like fuel? He's like, you want that. Anger flashed in his tawny eyes. We haven't used the word golden honey. This is nice. Tawny. His lips pressed into a hard line. All signs of humour gone. That's how I would look if I was pale. Oh wait, I am. Bella, you are utterly absurd, he said in his low, cold. So, Bella, you are utterly absurd, he said in his low voice, cold. My palms tingled, Mom Spaghetti. I wanted so badly to hit something. I was surprised at myself. I was usually a non-violent person. I turned my back and walked away. Wait, he called, because we couldn't let it go. Wait. I kept walking, sloshing angrily through the rain, and he was next to me, easily keeping pace. I'm sorry, that was rude, he said as he walked. I ignored him. I'm not saying it isn't true, but it was rude to say it. Why won't you leave me alone? I grumbled. This is coming from the person who has stared out this bloke for 6 weeks. Can we just like pot calling the kettle black? That's what's happening here. Do you have multiple personality disorder? I asked severely. You're doing it again. Fine then. What do you want? I was wondering if a week on Saturday, you know, the day of the spring dance. Are you trying to be funny, pal? I interrupted him, wheeling towards him. My face got drenched as I looked up at his expression. It was raining outside. You probably should have worn your face umbrella, you dingus. His eyes were wickedly amused. Will you please allow me to finish? I bit my lip and clasped my hands together, interlocking my fingers so I couldn't do anything rash. Take it away, Cullen. I don't know if it is simultaneously, but I would imagine it would be weirder if she went rather than. Yeah, it's got to be simultaneously. Interlocking. It's a metaphor there. I heard you were going to Seattle that day, and I was wondering if you wanted a ride. Well, that was unexpected. What? I wasn't sure you was getting that. Do you want to ride to Seattle? With who? I said, mystified. It was on bloody Uber, is it? See, this is the thing with smarty pants. They can identify the mitosis stage of an onion, yet cannot take a hint. Me, obviously. He enunciated every syllable. Me, obviously. as if he was talking to someone who was mentally handicapped. I was stunned. Why? Well, I was planning to go to Seattle in a few weeks, and to be honest, I'm not sure if your truck can make it. My truck works fine. Thank you very much for your concern. I started to walk again. Suck it. But I was too surprised to maintain the same level of anger. I don't see how that's any of your business, stupid shiny Volvo owner. Oh, this is like the MLG. It'd be like 420 blaze it comes through, and then the guy goes, "Wow, that's what would happen there." Oh, that was a burn. That was stupid shiny Volvo owner. That's what this should be called, rather than Twilight. Stupid shiny Volvo owner, and I think more people will be like, "Yes." Equally, that should be the name of Crash by J.G. Ballard. I think a lot more people would read that. It's called Stupid Shiny Volvo Owner. We took a turn. This is a serious literary channel, though, so expect it. The wasting of finite sources of everyone's business. Oh, I wasn't expecting Extinction Rebellion to turn up here. Honestly, Edward, I felt a thrill go through me as I said his name, and I hated it. I can't keep up with you. I thought you didn't want to be my friend. I said it would be better if we weren't friends. I didn't say that I didn't want to be. Oh, backtracking. Oh, thanks. Now that's all cleared up. Heavy sarcasm. I realized I had stopped walking again. We were under the shelter of the cafeteria roof now, just transported. So I could more easily look at his face, which certainly didn't help my clarity of thought. It would be more prudent of you not to be my friend, he explained. But I'm tired of trying to stay away from you, Bella. His eyes were gloriously intense as he uttered the last sentence, his voice smouldering. I couldn't remember how to breathe. That's a concern. Will you go with me to Seattle? He asked, still intense. I couldn't speak, and I just nodded. He smiled briefly, and then his face became serious. You really should stay away from. You've just asked for these two need to hash it out. These two need to hash it out. This is beyond compare. You can't offer someone that you'll drive them and then be like, if you can stay away from me. No, you can't. Oh. You really should stay away from me, he warned. I'll see you in class. He turned abruptly and walked away the back that we had came. Chapter 4, everyone. What did we learn? Everyone has asked Bella to go to the dance. She said no. She's going to Seattle. And now she's got a lift. $20 pages. 20 pages I got to do that. Thanks, Stephanie Mayer. That was worth it. Catch me tomorrow, Lit Fam, for more Twilight. Woohoo! Twilight, yeah. I mean, Team Wolf, we're going strong. Team Wolf, hashtag Team Wolf. Send me all the wolf emojis because